Happy New Year! I'm Papa Boko here to deliver a tarot energy reading for the month of January 2022. We're here, we made it, yay! Um, Not like much has changed, but a lot actually has changed. The cards I pulled were interesting for me. I got Eight of Cups, or I pulled Eight of Cups and Eight of Pentacles. So we're dealing with eights this month, and there's actually a lot going on both astrologically and it seems like spiritually, especially when we're talking Eight of Cups, one of my faves, because it's pointing to and asking us to seek deeper, to move through old emotional patterns or old emotional needs and wants and desires and seek something greater, seek something deeper, seek something a little bit more fulfilling. A lot of the time we have this idea that what we have is what it always needs to be, and once we kind of have a certain level of relationship or needs being met, that we kind of stop wanting, and that's not actually true. We are going to continuously want, we're going to want more, deeper, more satisfying quality over quantity in this case. So Eight of Cups is going to ask you, especially this month, with the new moon being in Sagittarius today, in Sagittarius, Venus is retrograding still, and so asking that question of what story do you bring to your relationships? And so when we're thinking about that, and when we're thinking about that in context with the Eight of Cups, it's seeing, that is almost a literal manifestation. Is what I don't want to call them burdens, but I want to call them, again, stories or things that you're bringing to a relationship that is what you're reacting to sometimes, or what you're hoping to get out of it, or these things that keep you out of the present moment and are keeping you emotionally tied to the past, and seeking for or anticipating something that may not actually transpire the way that you think that it will or should. And so that really brings us to a different place in our relationships when we think about it that way. Now, when we're thinking Eight of Pentacles on the other side of it, it's really that it is also about putting in the work on the other side. So it seems like emotionally, we have to seek greater, seek deeper, and seek different, and seek what we may not be used to but are desiring. And Eight of Pentacles is also on the other end telling you to get down to work and get down to your to the business of the reality of your physical health, your physical surroundings, and things that are taking work, or taking energy, or taking time, and really refining that and putting yourself into that. And what that really looks like, or what that could possibly look like, is refining projects or goals that you've set off for maybe even prior to the pandemic, and seeing how we can revisit those and build that in a different way. Things you've been working on or have been putting energy into throughout the pandemic, and also see not necessarily fruits in the way that you're expecting them as in return, but more so in how are you refining and building and revisiting things that you've put your time and energy into, and seeing what they can give to you now, what use they can be for you, and at the same time, how can you maybe even walk away from old ways of working, of old ways of engaging with the projects and the things that make you happy, but also that are required for your survival and required for your sense of being a holistic human. With that being said, that's the tarot. And we have a new moon in Sagittarius today, January 2nd. And that, with Jupiter being in Aquarius, this to me still is about self-determination, but self-determination via your convictions, via your beliefs. And what that looks like is really, with this new self-determined sense of self, with this new identity and this context in which this identity is being understood under, how does this change your convictions? How does this change your beliefs? How do you set a new tone for the things that you want? How do you set the tones for the things that you engage with philosophically, mentally, emotionally, because beliefs aren't just something I think, there's something I live, and there's something that we also experience or interpret our experiences through. So what are the lenses? What are the ways in which you are uh, all, with Venus retrograding, reconceptualizing the way you're entering relationships, and then also with this new moon, how am I entering these relationships? And what beliefs am I bringing to them? What convictions am I bringing to them? Or am I trying to work out at these places? You know what I'm saying? So Mercury is also stationing retrograde this month on January 14th in sidereal, let me see, Capricorn. So that's really again highlighting Taurus, or sorry, Capricorn, sidereal Capricorn, and we're talking resourcefulness, the wounds of neglect. So just thinking of the ways that you're amplifying, or how that, just being aware of how that gets amplified within your life. How have the themes of neglect, the themes of you needing to be resourceful, because the sun enters Capricorn that same day, so our focus also is going to be talking to us about the ways that we've been neglected as a collective, what are the results of that, how we regulate ourselves as human beings, and also as a collective when we're being dysregulated. And what that looks like and means is when we don't even know what the hell our bodies are telling to ourselves and therefore can't properly give it what it needs. How do we find what we need, and how do we start interpreting our bodies for what they are and not what we've been told for them to be, right? So then Mars enters Sagittarius January 16th. So it's also bringing forth this, it's highlighting the what's been going on with Mercury retrograde, or sorry, with Venus retrograde. But also putting in its own fire because it's right before the full moon in Cancer. So what does this all mean? It means Mars entering Sagittarius. Again, we're talking beliefs and how we use that to form our autonomy, to set our boundaries. Jupiter is still going to be in Aquarius, in sidereal Aquarius. So we're talking self-determination, we're talking identity, and we're talking about the ways in which we maybe are pushing our senses of self, and really being loud in that way, where we're saying, I'm here and this is who I am, this is what I believe, and you're going to deal with it. So thinking about that. And then with the full moon in Cancer, on Monday the 17th, really talking to us always about the body, about community, about the ways that we and highlighting, and it's illuminating as the full moon does, those themes of but also the themes of how have we maybe dealt with addiction in order to regulate ourselves. And addiction doesn't have to be substance abuse either. It can be things that we're using to calm ourselves down to the point where we start just depending on that instead of regulating or figuring out different ways and different methods for us to figure out how to be in our body. So by the end of the month, Venus will be stationing direct, I want to say, in Sagittarius. So that will hopefully get us some clarity on, again, these relationships that we have built throughout this time and what they're actually based upon, and whether y'all believe and are convicted in the same thing, and how does that affect your relationship with yourself, with the people you engage with, and the way that you interpret the world. So I hope that was helpful for folks. I still have a couple of slots open for my What's Your Relationship Story, the Sidereal Venus reading, where we look at your Sidereal Venus placement and just talk through how those experiences have shaped the way you enter relationships, the way that, what your needs are, and your perceptions of even needing to be accepted, and things of that nature. I'm also always open for 30-minute tarot readings. You can always book both of these things on my site, papaboko.com, where I also have my latest article, Religion as Revolutionary, which discusses the ways in which we, or my thoughts on needing to take religion back into the hands of the people to liberate ourselves, as Divination for Liberation talks about. So with that said, I hope everyone has a happy new year, and talk soon.